and welcome to Behind the Bearcat. This is the podcast where the Northwest Missouri State University Career Services Office chats with Northwest faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends to hear about their career journeys, how they got to where they are, and how they became Bearcats. I'm Career Services Assistant Director Travis Klein.
And I'm Hannah Christian, the Director of Career Services here at Northwest. And today's guest on our show is...
Hi, I'm Chase Moyer. I'm a developer one. I work at Yellow Freight, and I've been working there since May of 2019. And I went to Northwest for 3 years prior to that.
Awesome.
Welcome.
We're really excited to have you on the show, Chase.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So let's roll back in time. First, you said you went to Northwest for 3 years. You're going to have to tell us that story, but tell us how you got to Northwest as a student in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. There was actually a lot of little decisions that kind of ended up getting me to this point where I'm at today, and especially getting to Northwest. I actually heard about it from a person that I was dating back then. It was probably about 2015, I believe, and she had decided that she was going to come to Northwest and pursue her education there. And so I had actually made quite a few visits in her time up here. While she was going there, I actually attended community college here in Kansas City, finished up an associate's degree there. So once I finished that up, I decided I love this school. I love the town. I love the community. And so I made the decision to commit to Northwest and pursue a computer science degree there.
So you started out, did you do your associates in a computer field, or so you started out as a computer science major? You knew that was what you wanted to do when you came here?
Surprisingly, no, actually. I originally thought that I wanted to go into accounting when I was finishing up high school. And so my first thought was, well, I'll go to community college. It's a little bit cheaper. I had a scholarship to go there. I earned one in high school through doing some tutoring and things like that. So I went to community college, and in the first semester, I took an accounting class, and I said, this is not for me.
No way.
I immediately switched it. I'm like, you know what? I'll finish the 2 years, get an Associate of Arts degree, and then continue on into computer science at Northwest, which partially the reason why it took me 3 years at Northwest, so 5 years total, was because I was doing all of the prerequisites for everything, all of your gen ed courses. And so when I came to Northwest, took me a little bit more time, but you know what? I'm actually more happy that I did those 3 years rather than just two, just because I had that much of a good time here.
I don't know if I don't know that we've talked to a student who's transferred in before. So what was that process like? You get the associate's degree from the community college, and then you're transferring into a school that you were kind of familiar with. So it probably wasn't starting from zero, but what was that transfer process like as a student?
It was a little daunting at first, just because I wasn't used to like the bigger colleges, and I wasn't used to the class sizes or just how things were done there. This was my first time moving out of home too, and so I didn't move into the dorms. I moved into an apartment on campus. So it was a little bit daunting, but there was actually a lot of excitement. I was ready to get out into on my own, or just with my friends, and just enjoy the campus, for what it was actually there for. When I was going prior, it was just really to visit town, so I didn't get to understand everything about it. I was just kind of, watched everyone do their thing, but being able to actually go to the classes there and just have a good time, it was really great.
I was going to say I too am a 5-year finisher, so there's no shame in that. Like, just take your time, enjoy that experience, right? Like, there's something to be said about that versus like just trying to get out and get into to start working. What were some of the things that you were involved in while you were here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Then that you mentioned going 5 years. Part of the reason, even just beyond the prerequisite stuff, like I didn't get everything in the right scheduling and all that. I actually worked quite a bit while I was at Northwest. I worked a few different jobs. Two of the primary ones that I did was I worked at Pizza Ranch. I worked there as a delivery driver. Stuff like that. And I also worked at the Starbucks, not the one on campus though. I worked at the one in Hy-Vee. So while I wasn't doing that, I really just hung out with a lot of my friends. I did a lot of
Hmm.
studying. I tried to buckle down when I got into, at Northwest. I wasn't necessarily a bad student. I always had a harder time just getting down, going to the library. I'm like, I need to study this. I need to get, you know, retain all the knowledge. But yeah, I mean, if I wasn't working and I wasn't in classes, or if I wasn't studying, sometimes I'd go out with my friends. We'd go out to the local bars around town, or we'd even head down to St. Joe, maybe go catch a movie or something like that down there. For being a small town, Maryville actually had a lot more things to do, and I think the
Hmm.
reason because of that was really the community and the friends and the people that you met. It made a town as small as Maryville just a fun place to be at and a fun place to go to.
Agreed.
And being a pizza delivery person, what a great way to find how to navigate the town. If you've got to take pizza all over town, like you will learn the
Oh,
streets, you'll learn the shortcuts.
exactly. I knew that town like the back of my hand. Even though it was small, it's like I finally knew like every which way you could go to get places, the back roads, all of that. I mean,
Yep.
we drove all the way up to Ravenwood. That's
Yep.
so I
Oh
knew
my.
that town. hmm
That's a good tip for incoming students. If you want to learn how to navigate wherever you're moving to, do delivery in a car. That's a
Oh,
good way to do it. Yeah.
well, especially as a broke college student, getting the delivery tips, as
Hmm.
well, because I mean, they paid a regular hourly wage. They didn't, do anything lower. So it's like you got to keep your tips and do that. So it was a great job while I was there.
So what was your thought process when you graduated about getting a full-time career, a full-time job?
Actually, about the semester before, um, I actually started meeting my advisor a lot of the time, just trying to get with him and understand like what the actual process was. Like, should I start applying for jobs now? Do I wait like a month or two before graduation? Just trying to understand what are the next steps in the process. So what I actually did was I started applying for jobs like crazy. I mean, anything I could find anywhere I would apply for in total. And this is going to lead me to another point, is that I probably applied for 45, 50 jobs, and I only got one reply back, and that was from Yellow Freight. And that just goes to show that you just do not give up, because if I gave up after writing that 20th application, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. um, you should always bet on yourself, and just keep going at it, because eventually it'll come back to you. It can take a little while, but it always will. I can promise that.
What was the time frame? So you said, you didn't know whether to start right away or wait until a month out. Like, what did you decide to do?
I decided to start applying in about December or January, and I graduated May of 2019. So it was about 6 months prior. I started just really, going down, getting all the applications in. And this was a hard time too, because this was the last
Hmm.
semester. I had a lot of really hard computer science courses I was trying to get through. I had, iOS development. I had just a bunch of software courses. And so um, it was probably the hardest semester that I had, but it was probably the most rewarding because it turned out as well as it did. And I remember when I accepted, I went through 3 interviews with Yellow, and I had to keep going back into town, into Kansas City, to go do the interviews. And I was just like, this better work out, because I'm putting a lot of time and effort. It's a lot of gas money to drive there. And the cool thing was, this actually wasn't even for a full-time position. This was for a internship, just because I was trying to find anything that I could do. Um, and after that second interview, about 2 weeks later, I emailed them saying, "Hey, just wanted to check on how the interview went. Is there anything I can provide you guys in the meantime?" And I got an email back saying they'd actually like to offer you a full-time position. And I was like on cloud nine from that day forward. I was so excited, so happy that all the hard work had finally paid off. And those are the moments that, are they come out of hard work and dedication, is just you do get rewarded. And um, I remember I graduated on May 4th and I started on May 6th. So I did not have didn't have too much of a break there.
Hmm.
So talk to us about the interview process. What did the interview process look like for you? I know you said you had to drive down there 3 times, but
Mhm.
what type of interviews did you had to give?
Yeah, so I met with a few different people. I met with a manager of mine that I actually did end up working for. I met with a couple people about my age or like a year or two older than me who had just started there a few years prior, and then another manager or two. So, I'm sitting here on one side of the table, it's just me, and on the other side, I have 5 people staring me down. It was one of the scariest things that I've ever done in my life because I remember sitting in my car beforehand just trying to, you know, breathe, just say, you got this, you're going to do okay. There's a lot of, you feel scared because you're like, what if I just mess everything up? I don't know if I'm going to do good. Um, but they were actually very casual in their interviewing process. They're really just trying to understand who I was as a person, where my passions lie, and why I want to work for the company. And um, I mean, I didn't mince words. I really told them, I was like, listen, I know that Yellow Freight's a trucking company. I know they've been around for like 100 something years. I really need a job and I'd like to prove myself and show you that I can do what you ask me to do, and that I can excel in this position. And um, that's about how the first 2 interviews went. And then I think once they got an understanding of who I was as a person and that like I'm willing to put in the work, that third interview was actually with the team that I'm currently on now. And again, probably the most casual interview I've ever had in my life. They took me out for pizza afterwards. They were they were just super excited. They're like, "All right, cool. We got a college kid in here." I was the first college kid that they had hired for this team. It was a couple guys probably in their 50s, maybe like 40s, and then me being a 22-year-old, 23-year-old graduate. So yeah, a little scary going into it, but here I am 3.5 years later, and I'm having a great time.
So Yellow, being a logistics company and a freight company, there's a lot of literal moving parts there. So what is it that you do as a developer there?
Yeah, so it's a little hard to explain. I try to explain it as best as I can. But what we do, our team is called the modernization team. So what we do is that we take an old system that the company currently works on and operates on, which is in this language called M204. It runs on mainframe, like IBM sort of stuff. And what we're tasked with is to either convert or renovate a lot of these programs that run into Java. Um, and I think the reason for that is because we want to get off of that old system. I mean, this was, 50s, 60s sort of stuff. It works great when it needs to, but we need to modernize, we need to future proof this system. And so yeah, a lot of what we do is renovation, bug fixes, enhancements, efficiency increase, stuff like that. And I guess what I work in personally is batch jobs, which are basically jobs that run in the background, stuff that we put on schedules and stuff like that. And so me and a few others operate and maintain that. And the cool thing is that the people on my team, a lot of us are actually from Northwest. 2 of my roommates that I lived with in college are on my team and work directly with me alongside. So, I mean, we got like 4 or 5 Bearcats on our team. So, I mean, you know, we're holding it down over here.
Excellent.
Mhm.
What kind of makes Yellow stand apart from other companies?
Oh, wow. No, that's a great question. Um, I think it's actually their ability to truly listen to how we feel about certain things within the company, and they address our concerns more so than what I've seen at previous companies that I've worked for. Now, granted, I haven't worked for any other company outside of college, excluding this one, but um, it's kind of interesting to see, like, when you get into your first adult job, there really is a lot more to this than I ever thought there would be. They take surveys of us every quarter. We have monthly meetings with our managers, we have team meetings, we have all this other stuff. Yeah, I think communication is ultimately the biggest thing, and everyone is on the same level, and everyone understands what's going on. I think that really helps a company move forward in a positive and efficient manner.
What was it like being a young professional? You mentioned you started in 2019, right? So you were a year in when COVID kind of hit and took over. What was that like going through that? Because I mean, that I'm sure that just like every other industry, they were kind of gobsmacked by what was happening and had to adapt quickly. So, what was your experience with that like?
Absolutely. And wow, yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, starting in 2019. So COVID was starting to make its rounds around January of 2020, but really started to take a full effect in March. And because that's when
Mhm.
our company started noticing what was going on and trying to figure out what we need to do. And um, the scary thing was prior to that, our company was actually having more like financial issues. And so we were worried that some of us could lose our jobs. I mean, COVID was a big deal. It stopped a
Mhm.
lot of, it stopped a lot of the trucking industry. A lot of things were just on hold. They're just like, we can't do it. Um, and so we got pulled into the office a few times, just talked about like the possibility of things, but thankfully they reassured us that we were going to keep our jobs. They were trying to do their best to do that. Um, Moving to working remote was obviously the biggest change out of everything, and we've been doing it ever since. I mean, we've been doing this now for about 2.5 years. um, and what we realized is that a lot of us actually do better work or more work when we're working from home. Me personally, I was living about 40 to 45 minutes away from the office building, and so and that was on a good day to get there in
Mhm.
40 to 45 minutes. Sometimes it would take like an hour and a half or something around that. And I'm just like, I'm so tired. By the time I get home, it's like 6 p.m. But yeah, no, that transition was just absolutely crazy. But I think we're doing a lot better now. I think working from home has allowed me to have a better work life balance,
Mhm.
and I love that a lot of the companies are just keeping this approach. It's
Mhm.
great. I mean, and we'll come into the office if we need to. That's the better thing, is that if we need to have an in-person team meeting, it's not too bad because we do it once 6 months, once every 3 months, whatever it may
Mhm.
be. um I mean, I guess overall, it's just like we couldn't have expected this. Like, I mean, it just came out of like nowhere, and we're like, what are we supposed to do? Everyone works from home, or how are we going to do this? But um, it's all going great now, which is good. Mhm,
So here at Northwest, people like to use the slogan career ready day one, right?
mhm. Yeah.
So can you maybe like tell us, do you feel like you were career ready day one? Or maybe what were some of the skills or some of the attributes that you brought as a Bearcat to the work environment?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do totally agree. I mean, by the time that I was getting ready to start my first day at Northwest, I did feel like I was ready. There were still some doubts that I had, mostly just because of me being me. But what I really liked about, especially the computer science department at Northwest, is that there was just so much variety in what you can learn and what you can do. And there was a lot of options. And so you really could narrow down exactly, this is what I know, what I want to do, and I can really hone in on my skills here and pursue that. And that way I can get into the company or place I want to work and I'm ready day one. I loved almost every single class I took at Northwest. I really never had a problem with any class that I had. All the resources that they offered, whether it was after class tutoring sessions, I could go to my advisor for stuff. I think it was just the amount of care that all the people put in, whether it was, your classmates, your teachers, your advisors, everyone. Um, they really just made it a point that they wanted us to learn and they want us to be ready. I mean, we're going to have fun at college, but we're also going to get ready for life after college. I mean, college is only, 3, 4, 5 years for some people, and you got the rest of your life ahead of you. You got to be ready. And I think Northwest did an excellent job with that, not only for myself, but I see my friends excelling in their positions who all went to Northwest. I have probably a dozen people that I know that, they're teachers, they're also developers like me. And I could never ever hear a negative thing out of their mouth about Northwest. It's all positivity. It's all good.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
What advice would you have for students who are maybe thinking about doing computer science or maybe are thinking of transferring in after an
Mhm.
associate's degree? What advice would you share from someone who's been there and come out the other end successfully?
Yeah, absolutely. In regards to transferring, absolutely do it. It was great for me. The process was easy. I mean, people are there to help you. They want you to come to the school and they want you to, they want you to have a good time. They want you to excel and be successful. Advice that I would give to students is absolutely do not ever give up and always bet on yourself. Me personally, I struggled throughout college a few times here and there with thinking I can't do this. Like I'm not cut out for this. I'm not smart enough. And the negative self-talk it will only hurt you. You have to bet on yourself. You tell yourself I can do this, whether it's you just mentally think it, or you every day you wake up, you look in the mirror and say today's going to be a good day, I'm going to excel, I'm going to walk into things with a positive attitude and be present in the moment as well. you know Enjoy every single moment that you're there, because I mean, like I said, I was there for 3 years, and it's already been 3.5 years since I've been out. And I can tell you, it feels like yesterday that I was there. I mean, I guess, yeah, the one thing is to enjoy every single moment. Don't take a single thing for granted while you're there, and just be yourself. Yeah, have a good time.
That's solid advice, I'd say. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That was fantastic. So, is there anything else that maybe we didn't touch on that you want to share out, or?
um, I think I nailed everything I wanted to reach out
Hit
there.
all the high points. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, because I can tell you what, there was not a lot of low points being there. And I think that has to do a lot with having the friends that I did. Make friends, and that I'll tell you what, at Northwest it's pretty easy. Everyone there has always been friendly to me and inviting and kind and just good-hearted people. So yeah, meet some new people. Get out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Absolutely.
That's great advice. 100%.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That was great. Thanks for being a guest.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you both. Yeah, thank you, Travis. Thank you, Hannah. Both. This has been great. I'm glad I got to talk with you guys. I really just, like I said, I've been listening to your podcast for a few weeks now, and I was like, what if I just reach out to them and see if they'll let me be on? So no, thank you guys for letting me be a guest on here. I wish you guys the best, and yeah, excited to hear more from what you guys have.
Thank you so much.
Yep. That will do it for another episode of Behind the Bearcat, and we'll talk to you next time. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, be sure to give us a thumbs up below. That helps out. Also, if you've not done so yet, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Also, we'd love to connect with you on social media. You can find Behind the Bearcat on Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Plus, the audio podcast comes out on Fridays on all the major podcast platforms. Thanks again for watching Behind the Bearcat, and as always, we'll talk to you next time.